Hey friends, Ash here with Gents with the niche top 10 list for summer 2019. This is going to wrap up niche week. I've had a lot of fun doing niche and indie reviews, and I'm gonna keep doing niche reviews. I'm gonna work them in more often than I have in the past because it's really fun to just switch things up sometimes. We're at the end of August, so it's basically the end of summer right now. We're about to get into fall, but I wanted to make sure I did my niche list for summer as well. That way when I head into fall, I feel like I wrapped up that season, didn't leave any loose ends or anything like that. So those fall lists will probably be out in the next week or two. But for now, let's go ahead and wrap up niche week with a bang with my top 10 fragrances, niche and indie, of summer 2019. One thing you guys are gonna notice is that there is a bunch of citrus in this list. I really like niche and indie fragrances that are heavy on the citrus, because a lot of times the citrus notes that you'll get in a niche or indie fragrance smell so much more realistic, so much higher quality than the citrus notes that you will often find in designer fragrances. Now, I'm not taking shots at all designer fragrances there. Some of them have really nice citrus notes, but a lot of the time you get that kind of screechy synthetic citrus note in designer fragrances that just doesn't smell all that nice. So here we go, number 10. It is an Atelier cologne fragrance. Like I said, a lot of citrus on this list. This one is Grande Neroli. There are actually a bunch of Atelier cologne fragrances that I'll wear throughout the summer, like Pomelo Paradis, I really like that one, Orange Sanguine, Grande Neroli. They just make really high quality, realistic citrus fragrances, and you can pick these up really cheaply at discounters, or at least really cheaply compared to what they go for retail. So if you're ever interested in an Atelier cologne fragrance, I would suggest not to pick it up at Sephora. Don't pay full retail. Just go to a discount website, whichever one is your favorite. They will most likely have Atelier cologne fragrances, and will most likely be considerably cheaper than in store. But absolutely feel free to go into a store and test. That way you know which one you like. This one has Neroli, Petitgrain, Bergamot, and Lemon as some of the notes. It's basically an inoffensive white floral and citrus fragrance with a little bit of a green backing from the Petitgrain. It does have a little bit of a bitter feeling, especially in the opening, but overall it's just a very easy to wear, realistic smelling, nice, again, white floral and citrus fragrance. Some people have compared this to Tom Ford Neroli Portofino. To me, they're not all that similar though, other than they're both Neroli fragrances. This is one of the better performing Atelier cologne citrus fragrances, at least off my skin, but that's not really saying a whole lot, because a lot of the Atelier cologne fragrances have piss poor performance, if I'm being honest. This one is not piss poor. The longevity is decent, but the projection is soft. Either way, as far as niche fragrances go, cheap on discounters, very pleasing, a great casual summer fragrance. That's gonna bring me to number 9, which is an indie fragrance from the House of Kieran, New York. It is Sunday Brunch. This one only has 4 listed notes: lemon, bergamot, Earl Grey tea, and jasmine. And one of the things that this house really prides itself on, that it really puts out there, is that it's a cruelty-free fragrance and that it's an allergy-free fragrance. It opens a little bit spicy with an Earl Grey tea and citrus combo. It comes across refreshing, but it's not really sweet. With a lot of citrus-based fragrances, you expect that sweetness right off the top. This one does have a little bit, but that Earl Grey tea really just rounds it off and takes a lot of that sweetness away. And again, like I just said, replaces it with almost a spicy feeling. As this fragrance dries down, you pick up a floral jasmine, and jasmine sometimes can make a fragrance come across as a feminine scent, but to me, this one is completely unisex. And at $78 full retail, it's on the cheaper side as far as niche fragrances go. Essentially, it fills the same niche as my last fragrance in that it's a great casual, warm weather, summer daytime scent. That's gonna take me to number 8, which is from the House of Imaginary Authors. It's just one of my absolute favorite independent houses. They sit right over my shoulder in every video. This one is Mosaic. Now, I also wore St. Julep a lot this summer, which is back here. The issue with St. Julep is that I get maybe 20 to 30 minutes where I can actually really pick that fragrance up off my skin. After that, it is a true skin scent. I mean, very close to the skin. So while I do grab St. Julep on occasion and I really like the opening, I love the way that smells, I have to legitimately spray myself 8 to 12 times every single time I wear the fragrance. And again, when I wear that fragrance, 20 to 30 minutes of projection. After that, true skin scent. So this one I end up wearing when I want something where I can leave the house and still pick up the way it smells. As with all Imaginary Authors fragrances, notes are on the bottle. Petitgrain, bergamot, oak moss, cedarwood, limestone, and artesian well. According to the house, this was inspired by classical European spas, where mineral water and steam would flow across the tiles of the bathhouses. And that actually does do this justice. That's a decent way to describe this one. It is a minerally aquatic fragrance. There's greenery and citrus mixed in with the mineral water, and then it rests on a light woody base. This is not at all your standard freshy aquatic. Some people are not going to like that mineral water feeling that it has, but for me, that's why I like it. It takes things in a bit of a different direction. From Imaginary Authors, Every Storm a Serenade seems to be the summertime fragrance that gets the most love, but I actually prefer wearing this one over Every Storm a Serenade just personally. And that's not a shot at Every Storm because I really like that one as well. All right, that's gonna take us to number 7. This is from a house that used to get talked about a lot. It got a lot of hype in the community, and it seems like that just kind of tapered off and people don't really talk about it much anymore. It is the house of Profumum Roma, and the fragrance is Aqua Vive. Not too much in there anymore. Amalfi, lemon, cypress, and cedar are some of the main notes here, but really it's just all about the lemon. It's like a legit photorealistic, sour, juicy lemon zest note. And this is legitimately one of the absolute best citrus fragrances that you can buy if that's what you're looking for. That natural lemon blends with the cypress cedar combo in the base, and like pretty much all Profumum Roma fragrances, this one actually has really good performance. Typically when you're talking about a citrus-based fragrance, the performance is not great because citrus notes are very volatile, they come off the skin very quickly, and then you end up with something that's a light musky base typically, or a light vetiver, something like that with weak performance. This one is very strong for hours and hours. Like I said when introducing this one, Profumum Roma used to get hyped pretty heavily, and this fragrance is one of the reasons why. It is a little bit expensive, but if you love lemon, it's worth picking up. Gonna take me to number 6. This is a release from Healy. It is Note de Yuzu, or Note de Yuzu. Yuzu, orange, grapefruit, sea salt, and seaweed are some of the notes here. It has a bitter, sour, zesty yuzu and grapefruit opening, which is definitely different than most of the citrus openings that you're gonna find in the majority of fragrances out there. It's a very different feeling. Like I said, it is sour, it is bitter, but at the same time, it's refreshing and it's brisk. That sharp citrus opening eventually dries down to sort of a marine-like feeling, and that's the seaweed and the sea salt. There is a small touch of woody vetiver in the base, but the dry down here is different again than most citrus-based fragrances because it takes on that true marine kind of feeling. Now the marine notes here are not exactly what I would call a super clean, refreshing aquatic. It's more of an oceanic, but it works, it's different, and I really enjoy it. That's going to take me to number 5, which is a Roger Parfums release. It is this one, Elysium. Vetiver, grapefruit, blackcurrant, and ambergris are some of the notes here. I did review this back when it was new, so if you want really in-depth detail on this fragrance, you can watch my review on it. Essentially, it's just a niche blue fragrance. And by that, I mean it's something that's very versatile, mass appealing, people-pleasing, something that you can wear casually, formally, daytime, nighttime, almost any season, though I do prefer it for summer. It's got a fresh, juicy citrus opening with green apple and black currant, dries down to a woody base with vanilla and ambergris. That is an oversimplification of the way this one smells, but again, if you want more information, you can watch the review on this one. It's just an easy to wear blue fragrance. That's why it makes the list at number 5. Number 4 is an Aqua Department fragrance from their Blue Mediterraneano line. This is my favorite fragrance from that line. Arancia di Capri. Caramel, lemon, bergamot, petitgrain, Sicilian mandarin, and orange are some of the notes here. This fragrance is all about orange, period. It just has a great, juicy, realistic orange combo, and that is what makes this fragrance. It's a little bit simple, but it is so nice for me to smell. I love orange as a note, and this one does it very well. You do have a little bit of caramel, musk, and cardamom underneath the orange, and honestly that sounds more interesting than it actually smells. The dry down is not the most amazing thing of all time, but that opening is fantastic. This one suffers from what I talked about earlier. Once it dries down, which happens pretty quickly, it is a fairly weak projector. The reason that one is so high is just because I love the opening so much, and I'll spray it on. Once the orange goes away, I'll reapply it. Gonna take me to number 3. This one is from Leila Bo. This is a fragrance house that some people say is just horrifically overpriced. Some people say it's very boring, but this fragrance I really love, and it is Bergamot 22. Bergamot, grapefruit, vetiver, and orange blossom are some of the notes in this fragrance. For me, this is a top-notch bergamot scent. Bergamot, also one of my favorite notes, and that's why this one ranks so highly. It has a juicy green citrus opening, which is a combo of bergamot and grapefruit. Underneath that combo, you have petitgrain and orange blossom. The citrus burns away pretty quickly here, and that leaves you with a vetiver-based dry down. This one a little bit similar to the last fragrance, where the opening in the mid is the part that I love the most. The dry down is pleasing, it's not bad, but it can't compete with the opening in the mid. Is a little bit overpriced for what it is, but I just love the bergamot in it so much that it's number 3 on the list. That one does get a lot of wear from me. Gonna take me to number 2, which is an Olfactory Studio fragrance. This one is Still Life in Rio. I actually got this fragrance by supporting Olfactory Studio in what was essentially a Kickstarter. I think it was actually on Indiegogo. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but they wanted to change their bottles out. So this is the old bottle design, and here's their new bottle design on my right here, which is Ombre Indigo. So basically, this bottle design was also being used by Zara, and Olfactory Studio was angry about that. They wanted their own special bottle design that no other companies were using, which I understand. And this is what they came up with. Essentially, they were trying to get a big lump sum of money on Indiegogo. That way they could fund these new bottles. And I did make a pretty decent donation to them. And I got this, and then also Still Life for making that donation. This has coconut, rum, ginger, yuzu, and lemon as some of the notes. And this is just a hella nice, boozy citrus scent. Smells a little bit like a tropical drink that you might have while you're on vacation. It actually reminds me a little bit of vacation, because when I go down to Florida, when I go down to the beaches there, I'll take this with me. So when I smell this, it does remind me of being down in Florida on the beach. It's equal parts sweet and sour, it's juicy, it's boozy. It does have a little bit of density to it. It doesn't come across like a super light, refreshing fragrance, because it does have that rum. But this one just smells fantastic to me. One of my favorite scents to smell. And that's gonna take me to number 1, which is a little bit of a summer classic. This one came out in 1995 by the House of Creed, Millesime Imperial. Sea notes, sea salt, musk, and fruity notes are some of the notes in this fragrance. It seems like the big Creed summertime fragrances are this one and then Virgin Island Water. At least those are the ones that get mentioned the most. You also have things like Arolfa, which have kind of a cult following, but this one and Virgin Island Water seem to be the big two. And between the two, I very much prefer this one. Millesime Imperial to me just has a little bit more of a personality to it. Opens up with just a fantastic smelling fruity note, which a lot of people say reminds them of a freshly cut watermelon sprinkled with sea salt. Then in the dry down, you have the signature Creed ambergris with bits of musk and light woods. This is a really sophisticated and classy smelling summer fragrance. This is one that I would not feel uncomfortable wearing formally, as well as obviously casually throughout the summer. Millesime Imperial is one of my favorite summertime releases from Creed. Just a fantastic smelling fragrance, and one that I wore a lot this summer. I actually have 2 bottles of this one. This one is the more full looking bottle, so I pulled that one out. It looks a little nicer. Alright guys, that is my summer top 10 list. Like I said, whole bunch of citrus. But if you're gonna wear a citrus-based fragrance, summer's basically the best time to do it, so might as well do it while the doing is good. You understand what I'm trying to say. Alright guys, let me know what you wore this summer, and look out for those fall lists. They'll probably be dropping in a week, maybe 2. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you so much for all your support. I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you next time.